Welcome, friends, to the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour with your hosts Sig Bisley and Colt Mauser. Before we get started, please be sure to like this video and subscribe for more content just like this. Now, let the animation appreciation commence.
Guess what, broski? It's episode 69. You know what that means.
Whoa.
Don't worry. It means absolutely nothing.
It better not mean anything.
We're going to do the same thing. Which
so it does mean what we think it does. Okay, now I understand.
Zing. Anyway, today's episode, we're going to do the second Evangelion movie, 2.22.
You can not advance.
Yeah, it's in parentheses.
Which is a lie.
That is kind of a lie.
But you can advance.
New shows.
Yep, new shows. It's a new season, so there's all kinds of new stuff.
There is one more episode of Witch from Mercury we hadn't got to.
New season's got Trigun Stampede, too, which I know a lot of people have been kind of
That fucking animation is wild.
The animation's very good. Yeah, we'll talk about it. It's really cool.
I think Orange did it. Is that the... That's the name of the studio.
Yeah.
Anyway, they've done a bunch of other stuff. I looked into it a little bit.
ALICE in Borderland.
Yeah, you're going to talk about the second season.
The second season, which, unless they go wacky and off the rails, it finishes the adaptation of the manga. So it is the first 2 seasons together are the complete story. So, and it has a satisfying ending. I thought it was pretty good.
So we'll get to that. But before anything, per usual, the news.
The news. All right. So first bit of news here is I was looking up Trigun Stampede, but too many studios worked on it because a lot of studios worked on it. So anyway, I will move on then to Tales of Symphonia Remastered. So I think I mentioned this briefly, probably a year ago now, or months ago now at least. It is actually coming out on the Switch, the PS4, and the Xbox One, which means you'll be able to play it on the PS5 and the Xbox Series, whatever. On February 17th, Tales of Symphonia was a freaking awesome game. I played it on the GameCube. I don't remember if it was also on the PS2 at the time.
The Cube.
I think it was.
I think it was great.
Freaking destructible. The most indestructible console ever. Could definitely murder your enemies with it.
It was a beast.
It was a beast.
It had style.
But anyway, it was a good game. It was. It got me into those Tales of games, and it's probably still my favorite. Although I really like Vesperia too, mainly because the main character did not mess around.
He don't play.
It was some evil mayor or something in some town, and in the middle of the night when the rest of the party wasn't paying attention, he just meets him out on a bridge and shanks his ass, toss him into the river.
Getting business.
All right,
done.
I like this main character. He's pretty boss. But anyway, Tales of Symphonia. If you haven't checked it out before, I highly recommend it. I mean, I don't know if the remake will be good or not, but it probably will be. It looks like a pretty stock standard remake. Bandai Namco's doing it, so there's no real risk that it's going to have any strangeness going on. So it's just a high recommendation. It's one of those games I remember being very, very good. I mean, granted, that was probably 20 years ago now, but yeah. I recommend you all check it out.
Check it out.
February 17th. All right.
That's pretty soon.
Moving on. So, got a couple announcements in a row here about stuff coming out that I don't think is surprising, but always good to get confirmation. So, we will get a second season of Heavy Metal Dark Fantasy Bastard this year.
Nice.
On Netflix.
Yeah, they set up for a second season pretty hard, so.
Yeah, it'll do the Hell's Requiem arc, apparently.
Nice.
There's more source material that needs to be adapted, so makes sense that they're going to continue doing it. And I think I'm going to catch up before this one. Now that I hate that I give Netflix money, but now that I give Netflix money,
sometimes you just got to do it.
There's still a bunch of maps.
It's like buying shit from Amazon.
Oh, I know.
It pains me to do it, but every once in a while you just can't
sometimes you
got to
do it.
It's very rare, though. I mean, I think I've been Amazon free for probably... Actually, I cheated. I think I had my sister order me something one time.
Yeah. That still counts.
Once or twice. But, since probably 2015, I haven't even had, an account, I don't think.
You're a better man than I. Anyway,
It's actually not as hard as you think it is.
no, I have weaned myself off of most stuff, but there's some stuff.
Pretty much every website does free shipping now, so
it's too easy. Yeah,
they basically forced everyone's hand.
So yeah, regardless, Bastard season 2. I'm assuming it'll be another 24 episodes, but there's no confirmation of that.
I
yet.
would assume so.
But coming out this year, so be on the lookout for it. You know, Netflix is with that stuff. Sometimes it just like freaking drops out of nowhere.
Oh, I'm so glad they're redoing a lot of that 90s stuff. It's so good. That and fucking Orphan.
Speaking of which, the next bit of news is Sorcerer Stabber Orphan is
God.
getting a new arc in April.
Nice.
So this is going to be a pretty packed year with sequels. So we finally got confirmation. So now we got Bastard, we got Orphan, we got Demon Slayer, you got Jujutsu Kaisen, you got Goblin Slayer finally.
Oh, Jesus. Killing me.
That's a lot of freaking, second or third or more seasons of very good shows
It's true.
coming out. So this is going to be a damn stacked year of anime for sure. I mean, you got continuation of Witch from Mercury, like you got more Chainsaw Man, you got I don't even know. You got everything. Like, it's too much stuff.
It's weird to have things to look forward to.
Yeah, more. I said Witch from Mercury. You still got Yurusei Yatsura going.
Right.
I think there's more JoJo's coming out this year. So it's crazy. Like,
Slammed.
it's a slammed year. I'm
Quit
not
your
complaining.
fucking job and just watch TV.
It's awesome. So, anyway, starting in April, I think April is when we get more Demon Slayer, too. So, God, you can get Orphan and Demon Slayer in the same.
Yeah, I think it was mid-April, like
Same
13th,
time.
15th.
Yeah.
If I recall, I don't remember.
Yeah, this just says April. So, I don't know if it's got the exact date yet, but it's the same season.
Yeah, I remember you probably 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yeah, Demon Slayer, they had an exact date.
They had an exact date.
Yeah, they don't have one for this ship. So, anyway, if you're into Sorcerer Stabber Orphan, get more episodes of that, too.
I certainly am.
Be on the lookout.
It's got to stab those sorcerers.
All right, so jumping back to video games.
Even though he is a sorcerer.
The trailer for Square Enix's kind of next AAA title, and it's a PS5. Well, semi-exclusive. It's one of those. It's going to be on PC and PS5, but not the X-Brick. Forspoken came out, and I mean the basic premise is girl lives in New York, somehow gets transported to. It's very isekai. Gets transported to fantasy world.
Gee, this seems familiar to me.
And has to, some dark fantasy world, and has to do dark fantasy things. This game, man, I don't think it's gonna be like woke. Or like poorly written or anything. It just seems extremely bland.
Well, I mean, we're like drowning in a sea of isekai 24/7.
Yeah,
Every single season, it's almost half the show. It's actually probably close to half the shows are isekai.
Now, it's a game, right? So the story could be bland, the visuals and everything could be kind of bland, but if the gameplay's good, it's not going to matter that much, right? That's fine. Like, okay, it could still be very awesome, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what the reviews say, because I might give it a whirl if it gets good reviews, but
might take her out for a spin.
Yeah, but it just doesn't have that swag that something like a Dark Souls, Elden Ring, whatever has. So
fair enough.
or even like a Monster Slayer, Monster Hunter. Sorry, not Monster Slayer, Monster Hunter. Or I don't know. It just, even those get kind of generic, but they have some swag. This, I don't know.
Seems swagless.
It's kind of missing that essential element. But anyway, we'll find out. It doesn't look bad. It just looks kind of bland. And it's coming out in, I want to say, February? No, January 24th. So actually coming up here in, a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll find out soon enough. Speaking of video game stuff, Sony is assuring us, of this I am assured, the PlayStation 5s will be much easier to buy in 2023. Now, I will say anecdotally, that's already true. The other day I looked just for, shiggles to see, could you get a PS5 and on like Best Buy, right? And now, so when I bought mine, the website just showed it unavailable, right? Even though they were getting stock at stores.
Yeah.
And you had to go, like, people figured out a way to like see their stock at different stores.
Yeah.
So you could go on a separate app and look at that and figure it out. And I was very easily able to get one that way, right? Like every day they were showing up at different stores in the area, and I just picked one day, went up to a store, got it, no problem. Although you had to ask at the front desk. Now you can actually buy it and just pick it up at the store. Now, for me, when I looked, it was going to take like 5 days, a week, whatever. But I could have just ordered it right then and picked it up like 5 days later. That's pretty good. So you might be able to just walk into places and get them now. But regardless,
What's kind of interesting,
it seems like it's actually.
I looked into the chip thing a little bit.
Yep.
Because it's fucking annoying.
Very annoying.
It's not even China. I've been blaming it on China for forever. 80% of the chips are made in Taiwan.
Oh yeah, it's all Taiwan.
And I'm
sir,
like
you were correct. You were correct.
Well, I mean, everything's China's fault, but
Well, we won't talk about what's real China and what's not because we'll probably somehow get yeeted off of YouTube for that. But
I don't think anybody cares.
you may have actually been correct.
Yeah.
Oh, China cares a lot.
I know they care a lot. That's their thing.
But yeah, no, Taiwan went crazy too with the COVID protocol.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like they didn't do the China thing where they just kept shutting down forever, trying to get rid of a virus that you can't get rid of.
They were shut down for a long time,
Yeah.
though. Like, yeah. And then
Either way, I was incorrect to say it was directly China's fault. It probably is anyway, but
yeah. All right. Moving on here. We're gonna take a little side trip to dunk on the dying mainstream American comic book industry. Let me be clear. I mean the mainstream American comic book industry,
it's kind of sad.
which is a sad, wretched state. It's a shame because the IP is
I don't
fantastic.
really enjoy dunking on it anymore. Actually, I don't really
I do enjoy it
care
a
because,
little
like, I'm so fucking sick of Batman. Everybody loves Batman. I'm just so fucking tired of Batman.
Yeah,
Like, and I mean,
I love Batman too, but you're
but I mean, is Batman not the best character in all of comics ever? Arguably.
to me, it's always Batman and Spider-Man, right?
That's
Like, those
what
are
I
my
mean.
favorites.
But I mean, you got to stop abusing him. It's like just
They abused the crap out of Spider-Man too.
I think like 9 out of 10 titles that like Batman's the only thing that sells anymore, so they're doing like 9 or 10 Batman
Listen,
comics.
the Joker's
It's
having
just
mud
like-
babies, all right?
Yeah, it's like what the fuck, a mud monkey. Remember that South Park
Yes.
episode?
Yes.
With fucking Stan shits in the
in the urinal.
in the
Yeah.
urinal and like, oh god, what's his face is on the speaker for the school.
Oh yeah, he's going through every name for
like
for
fucking
shit.
Fudge Dragon and shit.
Yep.
It's like Fudge Dragon, Mud Monkey. It just went on forever. It's so funny.
Regardless, that's the state. That's the current state of Batman. Anyway, the dunking is the fact that like 18 of the top 20 adult graphic novels are all manga once again.
Yeah.
Like, of course it is. And it's, Demon Slayer, the run is over. So now Demon Slayer's been knocked down to number 3. 1 and 2, Chainsaw Man.
Yeah. Chainsaw Man was
And-
like huge even.
And then at
before
number
it.
5, Chainsaw Man. And then at number 7, Chainsaw Man. And then at number 11, Chainsaw Man. And then at number 16, Chainsaw Man. And then at number 18, Chainsaw Man. And then at number 20, Chainsaw Man.
It was already doing really well, and then the anime just probably put it. 'Cause,
Oh,
like,
yeah, absolutely.
the minute you get into a show, you want to read the manga, and
I mean,
especially when people whine about changes and stuff. Either
like,
way.
every damn volume 6, almost every damn volume of Chainsaw Man's on here. Like 7 and 8 are missing somehow, but 10's on here. So don't ask me how that works.
Fair enough.
Anyway,
Please stop raping Batman.
yeah.
Just let him cool off. His butt hurts.
So good to see that, comics are still popular, very popular. It's just it's switched to manga, And it's a shame. The mainstream industry just sucks.
Actually,
Thankfully,
I would argue that comics are probably more popular than they've been since like the 90s.
They are. It's just
Just-
mostly manga.
yeah,
it's
it's just manga.
manga and like Kickstarter and Indiegogo.
Because comics kind of took a dump in the in the 90s, really.
Oh yeah, it did.
It's like when they
It was the rise of Image and such, but it was the downfall, like Marvel and DC, especially Marvel. God, you remember the garbage Marvel's putting on the late 90s? Like, let's take out Wolverine's adamantium. Let's give Ghost Rider a clown suit. Like,
I was just gonna mention the Ghost
what
Rider class.
is this crap?
I don't know.
Oh, it was so bad.
You can only the problem is they have no imagination. They just keep beating the shit out of the same IPs like since the
Yeah.
40s. You can't keep
In some
doing
cases,
that.
yes. Some
Yeah, like-
cases, like the 30s.
Yeah, like Batman's like fucking 100 years, close to 100 years of Batman.
Yeah.
Spider-Man,
80
too.
at least. Yeah. Spider-Man's been out since the 60s.
Yeah, Spider-Man's
Spider-Man's newer.
than I remember, or than I thought.
Batman's old. I mean, Captain America's been Namor like since the 40s.
Superman.
Yeah, Superman.
They could do so much more with Superman if they didn't like. You gotta like let Superman murder people sometimes. I know it's wrong, but
Sometimes that's just what you got to do.
well, he's just not an interesting character.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Yeah, it's hard to write a guy who's perfect. You know what I mean? Like, how do you even?
That's why I'm always impressed that people who can write Superman well. It's just not easy. It's just not an easy thing to do. Anyway,
Tangent over.
yeah, moving on. So I think this is some anime convention news, and not related to the beer bug of unknown origins, which we've already said, but whatever. More related to, I think, another indication that they're hurting. So Anime Expo just announced that they will not be doing premium badges anymore. They did these $550 like premier fan badges.
Jesus.
They came with a bunch of extra stuff and access and whatever, and they're not doing them again. So that to me says they probably didn't sell very well last time. Probably figured they weren't going to sell well this time. Probably aren't selling well enough on their regular tickets.
I think most of the people that go to those conventions are probably broke now.
That's the other thing too, right? They got no money, and they know that downturn's coming. So
Snoop Doggy
I just thought it was interesting. I also went and
Jabba
poked
Jabba.
around on their website to see what their rules are going to be this year related to beer bug and such, and nothing. It looked like it was all the old stuff from last year still up, like in accordance with this rule and that rule that aren't, in accordance with the LA County and this, that those rules aren't in place anymore. So I have no idea. I don't think they've really announced that yet. So they're selling badges, but you have no idea what your experience is going to be like if you get there. So good luck if you're going to go. I'm certainly not. I'm going to stay the hell far away.
Well, they're underwater right now, so
Yeah,
they're just having a fun old time.
it's a crazy state of affairs. Anyway, moving on.
I certainly don't want to fly across the country right now either.
No.
Jesus God.
Too difficult. All right. Moving on. The last bit of news we got here for this week, and it's an interesting bit of news.
It's a humdinger.
Belarus has decided that all rights can belong to them. Copyrights are theirs. If you're an enemy of Belarus, like, they don't care. So they passed a law.
They're doing it China style.
So they passed a law that permits their residents to access any audiovisual stuff, so computer, software, whatever. No consent from the copyright holders if the nation it's coming from is unfriendly. And that's a lot of nations, apparently.
Aren't they on Russia's side? Of this whole nonsense.
And it's interesting because it's a state-owned National Patent Authority is going to process this. So what happens is it's a shakedown scam. So if you're going to import something into the country that's unlicensed, you got to pay a fee to that organization.
Oh, they're like the mafia.
And then other rights holders that may own that have to file a claim. And if they don't file the claim, Belarus keeps the money.
Who the fuck is going to Belarus for any reason anyway?
No, very true. So this is just a ridiculous one where, some small, essentially a tin pot country at this point. Sorry if you're from Belarus, but
it is what it is. We're not doing so great here either. But.
No, we're not. And they got some crazy laws. So if you got copyright on stuff, don't expect that shit to work in Belarus, because I don't think it is.
Fair enough.
And if you're in Belarus and you were a pirate, you are now a privateer, sanctioned officially by the government of Belarus.
Pretty based.
Hell yeah. Anyway, on that note, that's the news.
Boom, done. Okay, do you want to do new shows first, or do you want to get into... We'll do new shows first.
Yeah, do new shows first.
So, Giant Beasts of Ars. I saw the thumbnail, and I was sold.
Giant muscly dudes with giant swords.
It's
and
kind of a
axes,
cool
fighting
setup.
monsters.
Basically, there's... sorry, I forgot. I watched it a few days ago. I forgot what they're called. It's like it's either a paladin or a... I think, like... these guys work as like a couple. There's like one dude,
Yep.
and one chick. Like the dude is the paladin, I think, and he actually does the fighting, and the chick basically turns into a sword or something. No, she the dude like absorbs the chick, and he gives her like amazing powers to fight giant monsters.
Okay, sure.
So basically, the very beginning scene is like this guy and his partner are gonna fight this monster, and then they flash forward to, you know, it's just like a conversation between them. Then they go to fight. Then it flashes forward like 20 years or something, and he's a like broke ass shit bum by himself because she apparently got killed, so he doesn't have any more magic sword power. And apparently the head of the country they're in, it's like fantasy style, obviously.
Yeah.
Probably on another planet. I get the idea. It's like, it's not isekai, thank God. They're like, you know, it's like actually
something
like,
different.
It's like fantasy sci-fi, which is cool. Anyway, so the leader of this country is trying to make fake chicks that make magic swords.
Artificial ones.
Yeah, and then one escapes.
Sure, sex dolls, got it.
Yeah, she escapes, and then he runs into her, and then at the very end of the episode, they're going to form a contract, so he's back in business.
But with the unknown element of her being a artificial new type.
And she's like wicked strong and shit. She like beats the crap out of guys all the time, and you know.
Is it a muscle girl? Don't tell Stavros.
No, she's not muscly. She's got
shame.
Magic strength.
It's such a shame.
The strength lives in her heart or something.
Such a shame.
Anyway, super fun episode. I can't wait to watch more.
I like the
And
premise.
I love the designs of the giant beasts. Plus, there's like a mystery of like where the beasts came from. Like they don't tell you who made them because they're like manufactured apparently. But or like a long time ago. Now I imagine they just breed in the wild.
Who knows?
Grow out of the ground. I don't know. I'll find out. It's going to be amazing. Revenger was the next one.
Yep.
This is like classic samurai BS. It seemed like a cool, like the story for the first episode. The main character basically gets tricked into killing his. Like, there's people in his clan that told him his soon-to-be father-in-law was dealing opium, and that's a no-no. This is in the...
Is this like Meiji? Is this...
Yeah, it's like after Warring States.
Okay, yeah, so Meiji.
Yeah. So anyway, so he goes and kills the dude and, like, all his bros, and then he finds out later that it was a setup. And so, like, there's this random guy and this chick. They're like, okay, like, we have to go deal with this guy anyway. So do you want to come and, you know, get revenge? Help us so you can get revenge. And they go do the thing. But then he outsmarts, the main character, like, outsmarts this other guy and just basically smokes out the guy he wants to kill so he can get his revenge. Because they basically kind of put him on the... You know, they're like, everybody thinks you're dead. Because they send guys to kill him. You know, everybody thinks he's dead. So if he shows his face, it's obviously going to blow the whole plan. But then he basically uses them to, like, smoke that guy out. Because there's, like, a secret...
Okay.
When they're raiding the place, there's, like, a secret, like, corridor where he could get out. So he just waits
So he goes and gets his immediate revenge.
Yeah.
So what the hell is the series about?
I don't know. We're going to find out.
He already got his revenge. Okay.
From what I read about it, like... That dude who helped him get revenge, the dude and the chick, they're like a, I don't know, fucking secret society that just like helps people get revenge. Sounds interesting. There's a lot of cutting.
It's like a samurai version of like, what was that? Was it Dirty Work? What with Norm Macdonald?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Basically what it is. Okay.
Anyway,
it's a good premise.
Potential.
Yeah.
And a lot of cutting people in half. I'm always in on that.
Yeah.
Animation was decent. I like the
good samurai
character.
show.
It was
often enough anymore.
The story was like it had a lot of twists and turns, but it wasn't convoluted. Like they told it well, so you weren't like, "Oh God, this is stupid and confusing."
Okay,
so I liked it.
It's like it was made for Japanese teenagers. Exactly.
It was made for the Japanese teenager that lives deep down in my heart.
There you go.
Anyway, Trigun Stampede is Trigun again. With really, really sexy fucking CG.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's interesting because it is fully CG, but the style is more Disney-ish.
It looks like a Disney movie, yeah.
I mean, it's
like
not,
an old school Disney movie, like a good one.
Yeah, so not Pixar-ish. I don't want to give that impression.
No. It looks like a good old, like it looks like hand-drawn animation for the most part. They spent a fucking fortune.
They definitely
on it.
spent some money on it. The animation's pretty fluid. It's not, you know how we feel about full CG shows. A lot of times they don't look good at all.
No, this is really impressive.
This actually looks really good. Like I'm fairly impressed. Now,
the novelty might wear off after a few episodes, but right now I'm very impressed.
it doesn't look as good as something as like Lupin the First, but that was a movie, so that's not fair. But for a series, it's as close as that. It's as close to that as I've seen from a series.
Oh yeah, definitely.
You know what I mean?
No, it looks really, really good.
It does look really good, and that's unfortunately, folks, that's probably the future, right? You're going to see less and less flat animation and more 3D. It's just going to happen.
I have no problem with that. I would like hand-drawn animation to just be like a boutique thing. Somebody wants to, like kind of like stop motion is.
The other stuff isn't even necessarily hand-drawn either. It's just that the 2D is going to go away and it's going to be all 3Ds. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it is what
maybe
it is.
not. Maybe that's Chicken Little, but we'll find out. Anyway,
as long as it looks good, I don't really give a shit.
Trigun. If you don't know anything about Trigun, you should know things about Trigun. Not that I was ever a huge Trigun guy, because Vash the Stampede kind of annoys me as a character because he's too much of a pacifist at times.
He was just naive, and people would die because of it, which was part of the story.
Yes.
Like, because he was naive, and he learns his lesson at the end, but he's just so obstinate.
And there's a good story to be had there, because, like, be careful who you pass judgment on, and be careful who you kill. Like Lord of the Rings, right? The real Lord of the Rings, not the terrible Rangs of power. The Lord of the Rings, like, if you killed Gollum early, well, the ring never ends up in the fire, right?
Yeah.
So there's something to be said about that.
That's why I wasn't there, because I would choke the shit out of him.
So there's an interesting story to be told about a character that is not really willing to kill people, but is still gonna, help people out, save their job. It's the Batman problem, right? Like, maybe if you killed the Joker, you wouldn't have so many freaking corpses everywhere. At some point, maybe
that's the eternal.
Maybe you have to pass judgment just once.
Yep.
So it's interesting. The first episode, I haven't seen the first episode of the original in a long time, but it's pretty much a carbon copy because they're both adapting.
They got rid of Millie and replaced her with an old guy.
No, Millie's there. She's way younger.
Yeah, but like, just jobs wise.
Oh yeah,
Millie doesn't really fill the same role.
I think they conflated those two characters together in the original. It's been a long time, so I could be wrong, but I think there was a conflation of characters there.
Yeah,
because she was not as I don't want to say incompetent, but inexperienced.
Yeah,
it seemed in the original.
Exactly.
So anyway,
Vash's design's very different. I actually like the new one better, honestly.
Yeah. So it's good so far. It's a good episode. The first episode was always a good episode of Trigun. So
yeah,
the new adaptation's good.
They also they didn't say where he was from till like midway through the series, if I recall, and they kind of like got that out of the way immediately. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because they do the whole opening scene where him and
that wasn't in the original.
I keep thinking Nail. It's not Nail.
Yeah.
The hell's his damn brother's name?
Oh,
Knives.
It's
him. It's him and Knives are like escaping from the ship.
Yeah.
Because it's all lost technology. It's it's very it's like we talked about the Orgus 02. It's got a little bit of Orgus going on. It's got not with mechs, but it's got Gunsword came after it, but similar style.
Yeah.
It's got that like lost technology, future planet thing. I mean, Last Exile, even for that matter.
That was like back in the heyday of like space westerns.
I love that style. I do.
Yeah, I would kill to have some of that back. So it's nice. I don't know. Hopefully they.
I think everybody should watch it. I do.
I kind of
might not like it, but I think everybody should watch it.
I kind of hope they mess with the story a little bit.
Well, I don't know what the original story was either, because I know the original adaptation had problems.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it'd be nice if they cleaned up some of that.
So if they're gonna, hew closer to the original manga, like we'll see. Well, almost like how they did Hellsing. They did Hellsing Ultimate or Maximum or whatever the hell the newer Hellsing was. To kind of clean it up. Which that's something else I've never watched all of. I gotta get around to that. I know, shameful.
Shameful display.
All right, so Trigun Stampede. Yeah, definitely recommend. Just for the animation quality alone, check it out. Handyman Saito, did you watch that?
Yes, there was like 40 izakais. I picked the one that would look the most entertaining.
Sure.
And I only picked it because I'm a carpenter, and taking someone with like practical skills and like sending him out to adventure is hilarious to me. Because the whole episode is basically about how his like practical handyman skills are like super handy in adventuring. He's like picking locks and like busting open chests and fixing armor. Yeah, I don't know.
So standard isekai.
It's near and dear to my heart.
Standard isekai, fantasy world.
Yeah, I don't even think they mention how he got to the fantasy world. But they have funny flashbacks of him, like, people, like, bitching. Like, he went and picked a lock for some lady. She, like, locked herself out or something.
Yeah.
And, like, she's bitching at him about, like, because it only took him, like, 10 seconds because he's really good at it. And then he charges her, and she's like, but that only took, like, 10 seconds. It's so expensive. It's like, man, I live that, like, every day.
Yep. It's a standard charge. I still had to drag my ass out to your house.
Anyway, that's, like, why I picked it, because it's funny to me.
All
but
right.
The show itself is actually pretty entertaining.
Sounds like a little papers and paychecks.
Yeah,
going on
you know
there, too.
me. I always like that stuff. And it like his fucking adventure party is hilarious. It's like they end up with this ancient wizard that's like so old he's like senile, and he got kicked out of his old adventure party because he like forgets half the spells.
Jeez.
And it's like a fairy who's just like a miser. She has this like giant sack of gold. She's always trying to like fly around with.
Yeah.
And what was the other one? There's one oh the chicken armor. There's like a girl that has like a giant suit of armor, and she like really likes Saito, but she's like super embarrassed about it.
Okay.
Anyway, the first episode was set up weird because it's not even like it was like 5 or 6 little short scenes. It wasn't really like a cohesive episode of just him like doing stuff, adventure style. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
I mean, like I said, it's like the papers and paychecks. Where the hell it was, like how the realist hero rebuilt the kingdom.
Yes, same kind of thing.
It's a different kind of twist, right? And it's a similar kind of twist. I can get.
It's
with
like
that.
a subgenre of isekai, kind of.
Well, God, of course it has to have one because there's too much freaking
there's
isekai.
So many. There could be better ones. That one just looked funny to me, so that's my pick.
Yeah,
and that was pretty much it. I mean, you can only have so many like pharmacist in another world, farmer in another world, house painter in another world, fucking massage parlor worker in another world, whatever. There's too many of them. But that was it. There was like 90, I would say at least half the stuff is isekai.
Yep.
So like I knock it off the top immediately.
Yeah, there'll be some new stuff coming out this week.
Yeah, I'll check again this week. There might be a gem in there, but that was pretty much my
all right.
cursory.
So we'll check in on those as we go. Yurusei Yatsura is continuing. I think there's a new episode out today, but I haven't watched it yet, so we'll push it to next week.
I'm gonna get out next week.
I mean, Yurusei Yatsura, I think you can imagine what happens.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
You can, but you can't. You can imagine the tone of what happens, but what actually happens is kind of completely unpredictable.
That's true.
Because who knows what kind of ridiculous alien, leopard, whatever is going to go on. Like, who knows?
It's true.
Who knows what Cherry's up to today? And that
Cherry's
ridiculous
the best character.
And that ridiculous giant cat.
Yeah, they never explain the giant cat. It's just there.
It's just there, man. That turns into a regular cat. Don't question it.
It really does.
All right. Anyway, let's talk
Mercury.
about Witch from Mercury, which got erased from your brain by whiskey, so that's a shame. Gundam Witch from Mercury.
It's coming back to me.
It's episode 12. It's the last episode of the season. It should be back in April, but there's scuttlebutt it might get delayed because apparently they had some production issues just not being able to get stuff done. And even this episode got delayed a little bit streaming-wise because of just a lot of people being out sick because there's a lot of stuff circulating right now.
Oh, God, it's everywhere.
So
filthy pig smell.
Anyway, it picks up where it's the Grassley group or whatever, and is trying to take and it's Shadik. That's the guy. That's the kid's name.
Yes,
the kid who's the adopted kid who's basically conspiring to
I remember he had like a person
to kill Miurane's father because he's the head of the Belarus group. What the heck is his name? His name is Delling Rembrandt. To kill him and maybe also capture the Gundam because the Gundam's there, the Gundam aerial.
They really want that Gundam.
So, they had already kicked off their attack last time. Attack continues this time. You get the witches from Earth who have their own Gundams. You also have, a bunch of random schmucks in other mobile suits. You got Guljaturk, or Bob.
Yep, good old Bob.
He was on the ship that was captured, but he does manage to escape in this episode. And now you finally get a classic Gundam moment where he ends up fighting his own father, and it's just a miscommunication. No one really knows what's going on, and ends up killing him. So Guljaturk
kind of deserved it.
His father did. Gul does not. That poor bastard has got the worst luck.
Is he like the Jared of this series, except not an asshole?
Yes, exactly.
Because Jared always deserved it. Because he's if you just shut your mouth, Jared, and not made fun of Camille's name, you would never.
Jared from Zeta Gundam. The entire reason the Titans lost that war was because Jared made fun of a random space kid's name. So yeah, you shouldn't do that.
That's why Zeta Gundam is the best of Gundam.
I love Zeta Gundam. Anyway. So that's going on, and then you have Miorine trying to get to her father, Delling Rembrandt, who's the guy they're trying to kill. An explosion does happen. He does get injured. I don't think he's dead yet. It's unclear whether he's going to die or not. They do say the mission's a failure at the end, so I'm assuming he's not dead. And then you have...
they didn't get the Gundam either.
No, they did not. And then Suletta's trying to get back to the Gundam, and you get to see some, So we're all assuming that... that woman whose name I can never remember, Fake Char, is her mother.
Lady Char.
I'm not so sure it is. Elnora. I don't know that it is. Yeah. I'm not so sure. Is it Elnora? Whatever her name is. Regardless, I don't know that Fake Char is her mother. I don't. I'm starting to have doubts.
That'd be a good plot twist.
That would be a good plot twist. So that's my bold prediction.
Oh man, because she'd totally spurg if she found out that wasn't her mom.
Oh yeah. So it's interesting because she definitely has some manipulation, mind control over the kid, right? And I don't mean mind control, but just
standard, very good manipulator.
Because and she's cold about it too. She's like, oh no, the kid will show up here, and you could read that one of two ways. No, I trust that kid. She's gonna do it, or no concern, it's weird. It's hard to read what's going on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in this episode that kind of peels back the sinister underbelly.
Yeah.
It's also setting off what is an actual Gundam show with, not duels, man. Which duels are cool.
War is breaking out.
The war is breaking out. Anyway, the big reveal is actually after the credits. So Suletta gets in the Gundam. And it's got some upgrades, and she kicks the crap out of all the frickin' Earth group people, and they have to pull back.
Earth witches.
But then Miorine is trying to get out her father, right? She's got him on a cart, and she's trying to get him out of there. And one of the attackers, terrorists, mercenaries, probably more like mercenaries. That was left behind. So they had Gundams, but they also had people come in with guns, and because they were trying to capture the Gundam and blow stuff up, and they're doing all sorts of bad stuff, right? He's still left there, and he's like, well, I'm not going to make it back to Earth now because the ship's leaving without me, so I'm at least gonna fulfill the mission. Oh look, Delling Rembrandt's here. I'm gonna kill him, right? And I'm gonna kill Miorine. He's just gonna gun him down. And friggin' Suletta's just there, and she just smushes him with the hand of the Gundam. And it is. This is a show that's not ultra bloody. It goes full maybe not full 80s because I don't see intestines.
Yeah, but it's pretty bad.
It's raspberry jam, man. That guy gets flattened.
Yep.
I mean, and it's not a stop or put the hand in the way so he can't shoot, which is what a lot of Gundam pilots would do. No. It is just a smack. Done.
Like swatting a fly.
It's kind of towards the end of Victory Gundam when Uso is just done with this crap and he's just beam sabering girls in bikinis out of the air. And if that sounds good to you, watch Victory Gundam. It's a weird ass show.
It is a weird.
It is the end of the UC. Wow, if you don't count Chireko. Anyway, and Miorine sees this, and Suletta gets out, and she kind of slips in the blood, and she's just covered in blood, and she's just got this smile on her face. She's like, "Oh, I'm such a klutz. Hey, I'm here to save you." Obviously, does not feel at all what she just did. Does not care. Which she should probably be a little disturbed by it just because of the gore, right? If nothing else, like, I'm not going to really judge her too harshly because that guy was going to shoot her friend and her father, like, and he's a terrorist. Splatting him, I think that's okay.
It's morally acceptable.
I think it's morally acceptable, but Miorina is just like, oh, God. She says murderer. I don't know if that's the exact translation. I think killer is more accurate. Like,
probably, yeah.
You know, because, I mean, that's not murder to me. But anyway, whatever. It's a 15, 16, 17
Self-defense.
Or defense of others, but still, same thing, right? So, because, I mean, it's certainly not self-defense when you're in a giant 18-meter tall death machine and some guy's got a machine gun. Unless that's freaking, not the Laz. What the hell was the, I can't remember his, oh my God, this is terrible. Zabi, not Daegwin. Dozel.
Oh, Dozel.
Unless it's Dozel outside of the goddamn Big Zam, just like machine gunning his way to victory.
Dozel. What a Frankenstein.
Oh, what a Frankenstein. He's actually the coolest of all the zombies. Wait. Yes, he's definitely the coolest of all the zombies. He's the most based. They're all the worst. Anyway, so that's the big spoiler at the ending or stinger or whatever for the next season. So it's interesting because it does cast Suletta in another light where, like, yeah, she's super autistic, man. And, like, you know, she's protecting her friend and she doesn't, once she's past, like, no, I have to protect my friend, she'll kill without even thinking about it.
Maybe her mother knows that, and that's
her
why
mother
she's
definitely
like,
knows that, or whatever she is, right? So
yeah,
they dropped so many good threads here. Like, what's gonna go on with fucking poor Gulja Turk? Like, he's a broken man, even more so than ever now.
He's got to go back and take over the family business.
But obviously, he's got a story arc going, so something's gonna happen there.
Yeah, you would figure.
You got Shadiq and all the jerks from Earth, so basically starting a war. So we're gonna find out, man. I'm really excited. I was getting a little not bored, but just, you know, it's kind of samey. I was just like,
yeah, the dueling thing doesn't hold up.
I'm not sure if this Gundam show is gonna go anywhere. Now I'm excited, and I really do hope it is a full Gundam show. I think it will be. I think it'll be 2 halves of a first season. They'll do a second season like they do with most Gundam shows. I'm looking forward to it.
If IBO got 52 episodes, you know,
48 to 52, I don't remember exactly.
Yeah, well, whatever.
Yeah, I'm into it. So, yeah, excellent season finale, and definitely looking forward to some more. All right. Moving on here to, I guess we'll move on to Alice in Borderland, because all we got is that and
it's all you, homie.
Evangelion. That's all me, because I'm the one who watched it. So I marathoned it this past weekend. You know, after watching the first, so reminder, a little bit about the first season. So, Arasu's the main character, his 2 bros, Chato and Kurube, were, like, basically hiding out in a bathroom stall from the cops. They didn't do anything that evil, but just they were hiding out from the cops, you know, mischief. And everything went dark, and then the lights came back up, and no one was around. And then all of a sudden they were in a world where there's very few people, and all the people that are there have to play games. They have to play these death games, right? They're games where if you do things wrong, you die. And there's different types of games. You know, there's hearts games where it's all about betrayal and hearts stuff, right? Like, it's all about betrayal and playing with your emotions and all that kind of stuff. There's spades games where it's all about physical prowess. There's club games that are all teamwork. And there's diamond games that are mind games, right? And you know, riddles and puzzles and such. Like I said, death for all of them. You have to play the games because you only get a certain amount of days off, basically, by playing the games. You know, you beat like a 3 of clubs game, and the it's all cards, and the number is the difficulty of the game. So if you do 3 of clubs, you get 3 days off. But if you have to play another game within those 3 days, or else you will get killed. At the end of that next day, after your things run out, a laser will come from the sky and kill you. Right, so first season happened. At the end of the first season, left standing. There's a whole arc. There's stuff at the beach with this whole group of people working together to clear games. Very smart. Collect all the cards. They do indeed collect all the cards. I don't think it's really about collecting the cards. It's more about clearing all the games that correspond with the cards. So it took until that point to get the 10 of Hearts to appear. So the last few episodes are about clearing the 10 of Hearts game that appears. So they clear the Ten of Hearts game. They find out some stuff about the game master, like the dealers, they call them, like the game masters who set up the games and conspire to make this happen. They're also trapped there, so it's kind of interesting. And you have, at the end of the first season, you have Arasu, you have Usagi, who's the mountain climber girl that he meets in one of the games. You have Josiah, who's one of the guys from the beach. He's like the crafty guy. You find out in this season that he was actually a doctor before. You get some good backstory on him. He becomes one of my favorite characters. And then Kuina, who's the she's actually a trans character. It's obviously a girl playing a trans character, but boy to girl in Japan doing this back in the day before anybody cared. They do this shit all the time. So I think there was a kerfuffle about this before because it wasn't actually played by a trans person. So
of course,
God forbid.
Of course.
God forbid you get some whatever. I'm not going to talk about it. Anyway, that's the wrap up of the first season. Second season starts from there with all the face card games. So now you have to beat all the face cards. All right. So the face card games start. The first thing they encounter is the King of Spades. The King of Spades is some ridiculous mercenary asshole who's just machine gunning everybody down. He's got fucking long range rifles, machine guns, he's got everything.
Man, I'm jealous.
Ridiculous. Like body armor. The guy is ridiculous. It's basically like John Wick. It's like if you put John Wick in there and just like made him go ham on people, except with more body armor. Like it's ridiculous, right? So that's one. So they have to run away from that basically, and that gets them separated. So for this, most of the season they're separated. And I'll give some of my thoughts on what I've read about the manga and the differences, because I do think there's some things here that don't work quite as well here that worked better in the manga based on what I've read. So they all get split up and they all clear different games. So there's some cool games during the season. There's one with like, it's a diamonds game. And when you're playing, so the difference in this season is it's always against the dealer, right? And the dealer is going to be it's the face card, right? Someone who is the Jack of Clubs, someone who is or a group that is the King of Spades or whatever, right? Or the King of Spades is one guy. Or there's a group that's like I think it's the King of Clubs game they play. There's one guy. He's one of the best characters of the season. I can't remember his name, but he's basically a nudist. So he's some guy who's like ripped and he's just walking around with no clothes on the whole time.
That's hilarious.
And it's him and all his bandmates that are on this team. And they play this like team game against Arasu. Actually, it's most of them are together at this point. Arasu, Kuina, and Usagi. But then there's another guy from the previous season from the beach, and then there's one of the bad guys from the beach you thought was dead, who was like burned and thrown off a building, but somehow is still alive.
Whoa.
So he's there too, and he's a bit of a psychopath, so he's the wild element. So they play this game, and it's got a hell of an ending. And this takes up like the first 2 or 3 episodes. Then it switches to like a prisoner game where they're in a prison and you have to figure out basically you just have to figure out who the evil person is. Everybody's got a collar on their neck that will explode. So every hour,
but of course,
every hour you have to go into a cell and guess what the suit of the card is on the back of your collar. It's got one of the 4 suits. So you can't look at it. You can't look in a mirror. You can't do any of that. Like, someone else has to tell you, right? So there's a lot of shenanigans where people tell them the wrong suit and all this stuff, and paranoia ensues. It's actually really well done. Like, that was a really well done game. Now it gets a little wonky because Josiah is there, that one character who's like the doctor. He's not really supposed to be there. He's not in there in the manga. So that was one of those situations where like I can see how removing him from that, it would make more sense.
Yeah.
And then you get they play another game with like I want to say it's like the Queen of Spades I think it's the Queen of Spades. And they're on an oil rig and it's like a tag game and there's a little kid there. How the hell is there a little kid in face card games here? I don't know. Well, I do know because of the very end. And then they clear all the games. I mean, basically the long and short of it is, they get beat up. They get their asses kicked. They eventually clear all the games except for the last 2. There's a Queen of Hearts and the King of Spades still, right? So they have to kill the King of Spades game, and guess what? Your boy Aguni from the first season, the man who punched a freaking tiger, he got shot a bunch of times and like should be dead, is not dead because you can't kill that man. He's ridiculous. He's like the most over the top guy, but he's pretty based in this season, and he shows up, and then there's other side characters I'm not even mentioning here. They all basically team up together to try to take out the King of Spades. They do eventually do it, but a bunch of them get killed trying to. It's a real pain in the ass. They either get killed or mostly killed or should be dead. Like one girl gets shot like 6 times right up the midsection and somehow is alive. Whatever.
That's not how
she's a wreck,
work.
but she's still alive. And at the end, you have Usagi, who's been stabbed a bunch of times in the leg, so she's not in great shape. And you have Arisu, who's actually in pretty good shape still, going out to take down the Queen of Hearts, the last thing, right? And of course it's the Queen of Hearts, and of course it's very Alice in Wonderland. And the last game is croquet.
Oh yeah.
And it's funny because it's like all you have to do is not quit. You have to play 3 games of croquet and not quit. And I was thinking, oh, it's going to be something sadistic. There's going to be like, she's going to stab you. There's going to be like, I don't know, fire ants. There's going to be acid. Who knows?
Yeah, something, right?
Nope. They play 2 games completely normal, not a problem. Then they stop for tea time. And then it becomes a psychological nightmare where she basically, it's almost like hypnotism or whatever, convinces Arisu that he's gone crazy because his friends died in a car accident, which ties back to the beginning of the series. And he's actually in the insane asylum and he should just give up. And she basically is just manipulating him, right? And of course, Usagi's the one who has to bring him back. She actually slits her wrist to do it. It's pretty crazy. I don't know how she can lose so much blood and still be alive, but she does.
The same reason that girl got shot 6 times in the chest.
Exactly. Don't expect complete realism, right? So then he does, and this is a lot of spoilers, so God, skip ahead if you do not want to know what happens at the end of Alice in Borderland, because I am going to spoil the shit about everything that happens at the end of Alice in Borderland. So they defeat the Queen of Hearts because he continues the game. They just have fun playing the final round of the game. And even the Queen of Hearts is kind of happy about it, but she gets killed. And then she also does try to tell Arisu what's really going on here. She tells him, oh, it's VR, it's this. Oh, we went into the future. Like all these other stories, but none of them are true. So come to find out. So there was one little tidbit dropped earlier in the season where some woman said, oh, I had some surgery when I was a kid. They had to drill into my skull. And everyone thought they saw fireworks when they showed up in this world, right? They saw fireworks either right before or right after.
Yep.
She says it wasn't fireworks, but then she gets shot in the head immediately on this video they're watching because the King of Spades shows up.
Yep.
So you don't know like what she was going to say, but it gets you thinking, what was it? So here's what really happened. And this is freaking wild. So at the end, every person who's still alive gets to make a choice. They can stay and become citizens of this land, the borderland, or they can choose to go back to the real world, right? Mm-hmm. And everybody chooses to go back to real world except there's 2 assholes from the that Jack of Hearts game, the prison game I was talking about. Yeah. There's 2 of them from there that want to stay because they're like, oh, they're just eating megalomaniacal assholes. One of them's like a murderer, like they're just whatever. So they want to stay, and it's not clear what happens if you stay. That doesn't really matter. So anyway, Arisu does wake up in the real world and he's like trapped under rubble. Because what really happened was a meteor exploded over Tokyo.
Whoa.
Right? And all the people who were playing the games and who were in the borderland were people that were caught in the blast, damage and carnage of the meteor. Yeah. And it's almost like it was their fight for survival. Right? Yeah. Like where almost like a shared dream, or apparently in the comic, and this is again in the manga, why I went to look it up. Apparently there is a Joker, and he's basically the ferryman.
Yeah.
And he sets all this crap up. And it's basically like his setup to see who's got the will to survive and who doesn't.
Oh, that's pretty cool, actually.
Which is pretty cool. So those people are still alive. They have some vague recollections, but not really memory of what happened. Like they kind of recognize people kind of don't. And, they've been working on this whole kind of love story between Arisu and Usagi throughout. And then he does run into her in the hospital and he does ask her out. So they're kind of starting over again, which is cool. They do leave a little Joker card on a table just to give you that same feel. And you do see, it shows you the whole scene where all the people throughout the show were around, and some of them didn't make it, some of them did. So I don't know. It was a wild ending. It was a wild concept.
Cool idea.
I like it. I really do like it. Now, like I said earlier, and I already said it a little bit about that prison game, I can see how. So apparently, this whole season should have had less of the main characters in it.
Yeah.
Because it really was kind of jumping around to different side characters. There's a lot that happens in the season that's coincidence. Like Arasu runs into Aguni and this other girl early on, and there's it's just coincidence. There's like no reason he should even be there. Because he's not supposed to be there. Like you can kind of tell it was kind of shoehorned in just to keep the main characters involved in all the stuff, because that was just stuff that happened. It just should have happened without the main characters. So it's not that bad. It doesn't ruin anything. It's just you can see that it gets just a little bit janky because of that. And when you read about the original, it's like, oh, I could see why that worked better that way.
Yeah.
And like I said, the other thing is they don't make it as clear here. Like apparently Arasu, before he goes back to the real world in the manga, he talks to the ferryman.
Yeah.
Or whatever, what he assumes is the ferryman, and that kind of explains it. Whereas in this, he doesn't. He talks to his friends who are dead, and they're just like, hey, man. Which is a good scene, because it's like, hey, man, you better go live your life to the fullest. Like, we're dead, so go do work. So that was good, but then they don't ever really explain. Like, you don't ever get that explanation with the Joker. You get the little Joker card at the end as a stinger, but they probably could have used a little explanation there.
Yeah.
Because apparently he was dead for like a minute, and like most of the people, that's what it was. They were dead and resuscitated. So
makes sense.
Anyway, just an interesting idea. I like that it wasn't just
Squid Game again.
It wasn't just Squid Game, and it wasn't just VR or something, right?
Yeah.
Like it was something
like an
different.
Actual interesting, unique idea.
It was an interesting idea, right?
God forbid somebody comes up with something different.
And the other cool thing in this season is, because apparently this happens from the beginning in the manga, but this whole season, Tokyo, instead of looking like just an empty Tokyo, does have like vines and creepers and all sorts of stuff over everything, where it looks like it's been abandoned for like hundreds of years. So it has a really cool look. So you can definitely tell they got some more budget for the second season than for the first. But highly recommended. I mean, it's 16 episodes total, 8 for each season. Most of the episodes are between 50 minutes and an hour. I think there's one that's like an hour and 20. I think it's the last one. It's not too much of a time commitment.
Yeah.
And it's worth it. Like I like All of Us Are Dead. I would watch this first. I would spend the time watching this first. It's more
fair enough.
So anyway, definitely a recommendation. Netflix did not screw up ALICE in Borderland. I think it's really good. You should definitely check it out.
Will do.
Anyway, moving on.
Evangelion.
2.22. All right. Good God. So we talked about 1.11 last time. We've talked about Eva a lot. I'm not going to get into Eva in the general thing again. Go watch that. Figure it out.
You've all already seen it.
Spoiler: watch Ava for the love of God.
I'm positive you've all.
Or if you watch some, you've watched some Ava anyway. Like, and if you haven't, go watch some Ava. So the second one really does adapt. Kind of like the second, not the second half of the series. Like the first one was like the first 6 episodes or so. This is kind of like the next 8 to 12 episodes of the show. Up until the point like Kaoru's introduced in the show.
Yeah, basically.
Because that's basically what happens into this. This has definitely changed a lot more from...
way more. Well, they add in a whole character.
From the show. Yeah, you got Maki. She finally shows up. Or Maki Marie. She's American or European or whatever. She's working for the European agency. I think she's American. You can't tell because, she's Japanese, obviously.
Yeah.
And she's a maniac. You got, you still got Shinji. You still got Asuka now actually showing up.
Yep.
So that's one of the first things that happens. Asuka, the third girl, second girl, first girl, whatever the hell she is. So she's an Ava pilot from Europe, from the European agency, from Germany in particular. And she's got a red Ava unit too. its design is definitely wackier in this one because it's got like 4 eyes.
Yeah.
It's like literally like not stacked on top of each other. Like it's crazy. And then she's a super hothead and she's the badass and she's got all kinds of combat ability, but she's not good working in teams. So a lot of it is about her integrating and working with teams.
Yeah, she's super antisocial.
You got it's Marie. What the hell is her name?
Look it up.
It's right here. It's Mari Illustrious Makanami.
I remembered Makanami.
Yeah, she had a crazy ass name. I knew the Illustrious was the crazy part. So it does start off with that too. It's got her in an experimental unit 5
with like crazy legs.
With it's got crazy legs and taking out I think it's the 3rd angel.
Yeah,
so we were wondering last time because it's the last one we started with the 4th angel.
Yeah,
this is the 3rd angel, right? So she takes that out. Although the unit 5 gets destroyed doing it, and then you find out that unit 4 got destroyed like off camera somewhere.
Yeah.
And then you got unit 6 is being developed, so we don't know what's going on there.
Ooh.
It's the secret unit, wasn't even supposed to be. And then you got unit 3, which shows up at the end of this. So anyway, back to Rey. So a lot of this is just, there's some more cool angel fights, but one of the big angel fights is, Shinji and Rey and Asuka having to work together.
Yeah, that was like kind of that whole section.
Yeah, learning how to work together.
Yeah.
And also trying to get Shinji and his father closer, but it's almost impossible. His father's just
such an asshole.
He's just so hyper focused on the human instrumentality project that he just doesn't care, right? Like,
I mean, he'll do just enough to get Shinji to do what he wants, basically.
Yeah,
because you can't really do it without him because they can't get the dummy plug system to work.
Yeah, so they do have a dummy plug, so it's basically like remote operation or not remote, autonomous operation for an Ava. It's like
it does work.
Tesla autopilot for an Ava,
and it does the same thing.
Yeah, it works about just as well. So it does some work, but it's not great. And then Shinji has to do some work, and then eventually the dummy plug stops working. The Ava just rejects it. It will not work. Shinji gets righteously pissed off.
Yeah.
So he takes off. He leaves for a while, and they don't have him while is that the 8th angel?
Yeah, I think so.
Is attacking. Well, is it the 8th or 9th? Whatever so they take while Shinji goes away, they're testing Unit 3, right? And Asuka's testing Unit 3. So they have to a nation can have more than 3 Avas, so they seal away Unit 2, and Asuka's testing Unit 3. But the test with Unit 3 goes wrong. It basically becomes an angel with Asuka trapped inside, fucks up a bunch of nerve people. Masato gets injured. Ritsuko gets injured, not that bad. And then the angel is going after, now the angel Ava thing is going after Nerve HQ, because of course it is. And it's super dangerous because since it's an Ava, it can frickin' go into like the central location where they're keeping Lilith.
Yeah.
And if they can meet up with Lilith, they'll cause the 3rd impact and all humanity will be wiped out and blah, 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 right? Bad things will happen. Right? So Marie Illustrious Makanami had snuck in way earlier in the movie, and then she shows up again and steals Unit 2, which is way too easy to do, by the way.
Yeah, right. It's just like, don't you lock your door.
It's a freaking Ava, for fuck's sake. I suppose you figure no one can pilot the thing, but
yeah.
Anyway.
They just leave the keys in.
They're leaving it, right? So she steals Unit 2 and tries to do work, and she unlocks its beast mode, where
which is super cool.
Loses most of its humanity. Yeah, it's really cool to try to go after this thing, but she can't take it out, right?
It's too hard.
Too badass. So instead, Shinji,
your boy Shinji comes back.
Your boy Shinji has to come back and do work. And Shinji gets into the Ava and he does some work. He does some serious work. So he has to what the hell's happened at this point? So I'm trying to remember. Oh no, this is the ultimate now I remember. Okay, see, I'm mixing stuff up here. So that whole thing with the Ava happens, right? And at that point, that's when the dummy plug system takes over. And the dummy plug system takes out Asuka. It takes out the Ava. It kills the Ava. And it takes the dummy plug out and bites it in half.
Yeah.
Right. And Asuka gets injured. And that's why Shinji's all butthurt. And that's why he's not around. Then the next angel shows up. I was conflating two things, so sorry about that. The next angel shows up, and it's like the ultimate denier angel. It's like the ultimate. It's like the ultimate AT wall. Of
yeah,
angels.
it's like basically a bunch of weird cubes and shit.
Yeah, you can't stop it, right? So this angel shows up, and Mary tries to take it out, can't take it out. Shinji's not around. Dummy plug won't work. Ray shows up and tries to take it out. Ray and the top, I don't know, everything from the knees up on her Ava gets eaten by this angel.
Yeah, not good.
It's just like one bite just pulls it in and sucks it into its core. So now it's going to go into and then it gets super dangerous because now it reads as Unit 0 because it ate Unit 0. So now it can also, much like that last Ava was dangerous, can get into Central Dogma and go to Lilith. So what happens? Well, Shinji finally gets in the damn Ava again, even though he was righteously butthurt about the injury to Asuka from before. And he runs out of power while he's trying to get Ray back because he's trying to get Ray back. And then he goes... The Ava becomes what it was really meant to be, right? It doesn't need power anymore. I mean, it's basically a living organism.
Yeah.
It becomes like an angel, but not evil. Shinji's still in control. And he goes ham getting back freaking...
He goes bananas.
Ray. So he reaches into the core, and it gets wild. It gets weird, extra dimensional, and then the impact... You get to see what second impact looks like, this weird rainbow like circle. Well, now that's happening again. So third impact is starting right now while he's trying to get Ray out of there. And he does manage to save Ray out of the angel, destroy the angel. But now he's basically in this Ava that's is it an angel now? Is it a god? I don't even know. It's ridiculous. Yeah. And it's super powerful.
He's found himself in a tight spot.
And then you have... I don't know exactly how this is going to end. Like the preview for next time was, what's his name? Kaoru descending from the moon. Yeah. On his Ava from the moon and like hitting him with the Lance of Longinus and pinning him in place and all this stuff. I don't think that's exactly how it goes down in the third one. So we'll have to talk about that when we get to the third one.
Yeah.
Because the previews don't line up with what actually happens in the next one.
Yeah, they pretty much don't because it took them so goddamn long between movies.
Yeah. Anyway, despite my fumbling a little bit of the sequence of events, it doesn't matter what I say. Go watch the damn thing. It's highly entertaining. Animation is even more fantastic this time. Characters are great. There's better character growth this time than there ever was in the damn series.
Really true. And it's so much less. They took so much less time, but got so much more done.
Absolutely. So anyway, what are your thoughts?
As usual, infinitely better than the series. Adding... what was cool that I liked because they talked about what's the dude's name that comes back?
The dude's name who comes back. Are you talking about
Misato's ex-boyfriend?
Kaji,
yes, I knew it started with K. Anyway, they talk about Kaji being in America in the series.
Or they actually show it a little bit.
And that's where what's her face comes from.
Mary.
Yeah. So that was cool that they actually showed all the stuff that was going on when Kaji was overseas. I like that.
She might be from England. She might not be American. Who knows?
I don't really care.
Doesn't matter. I don't know.
It's completely irrelevant.
It is irrelevant.
But yeah, I like that kind of. They filled a hole in the story there, and it actually made it a lot better. An extra character is good, because just having the three pilots all the time was kind of...
Yeah, she's a good combustible element. I know she gets mixed reviews. Like, some people are not into it, but critics mainly. Most fans I've seen really, really like the character, so...
It was just cool to add an extra character.
And plus it's a different... Her nature is different enough from Asuka's that I didn't mind it.
Yeah, they're not like the same thing.
Because Asuka's kind of the combustible element. Rei is like the super quiet one, and Shinji's kind of like the everyman, you know,
The straight man.
But yeah, she brings a different element, more devious, more sinister almost.
Yeah, she knows up to shit.
But I don't know. It's interesting how her character evolves in the next couple movies.
It's true.
Yeah, I like more intrigue with Seal and like with all the shit going on the moon. That was really cool.
Yeah.
That was stuff I don't remember from the original, like seeing any of that anyway.
Yeah, they like mentioned it, but you didn't get any animation.
And seeing, you know, the impact of Second Impact, where like, you know, Antarctica and the whole, not the whole southern hemisphere, but like a
big chunk of it.
A big chunk. Like all of Antarctica is like covered in this weird rainbow thing. That's creepy as hell.
It's wild stuff.
You know, you're starting to get a feeling for what's really going on and the story behind the story. So it's a good setup. And I don't know, the animation's so good. Like you said, it tells it. You know, this movie's just under 2 hours. So now you're, you know, 4 hours in the movie.
Basically half a series in like 2 hours and like got it done way better.
Yeah.
So it was so nice that they just went back and cleaned up all the writing.
And the pacing's better.
They had such a good idea, and it just like it's nice to go back and just refine it to the point where it's like a really good show.
I've said this before. This is the perfect case for a remake, and even better that it's done by the original guy who did it, right? Like to just go, okay. And I like that Japan does this. They're like, okay, yeah, we had a good idea, but it wasn't quite right. Let's just do it again.
Because I really feel like he just had an idea. He had no idea what he wanted to do with it. It was just like a very rough.
Yeah, but it was a good idea.
You know what I mean? And then he had like 20 years or so to
and then he talked to Izubuchi.
Yeah, to go back and have lunch with Izubuchi.
And how to fix it. So anyway,
figure out how to fix it.
When we get to the next two, like that's when it really starts to get wild and really deviates from the series.
The next one gets wild because it's like
airships.
It's like trigger animation.
Yes, that too.
Like the animation style completely changes and it blows your mind. It melts your brain.
Yeah, it's not jarring, but it's definitely different.
It's pretty jarring. I didn't think it
like
was
the
ship and everything lights up and it's all crazy.
It's more the designs than it is the animation.
Yeah, well, probably,
the designs get a little wackier.
It's very, I don't know.
It gets very
different. Let's put it that way.
Not steampunky, but
yeah, kind of.
Very more like instead of serious sci-fi, it almost goes from you know what it does? It goes from like hard sci-fi, like it goes from old Star Trek to like Star Wars.
Yeah,
you know
like
Masato's
captained this retarded ship. And
it goes
like,
crazy.
What's going on? Like
Shinji's in space prison.
Shinji is in space prison. You know you're a badass when you get locked in space prison.
I know. To be locked in space prison. Wait, I don't really want to be in space prison.
And they 100% fixed Shinji in like this movie.
Much better character.
Oh god, like so much I mean, when he's pissed off for a reason, and then when he has to come back and do work, he fucking does it. And you know, like the whining is completely gone because god, in the series, like sometimes the whining was just like
it was too much.
Just like god, just go kill yourself.
That could be the nature of it being too spread out, but I think his character reacts more normally in this.
Yeah, it feels way less like he's just this whiny little child.
You know who else likes space prison? MD Geist.
Damn right. I'll do a whole episode on like people who've been sent to space prison.
Oh my god. Anyway, I don't have much else to say about this. It's excellent, much like the last one. It's really good.
Yeah, just man, nice to see him finish it up right. So next week, Tree.
Yep.
We'll get at it. If there's any new shows out, go over those and we'll see you then. So as usual, have a fantastic week. Don't trust the government. NFTs are still a scam. I'm on the fence on crypto.
Peace. Well, that's all for today, everyone. We'd like to thank all of you for tuning into another episode of the Gaijin Animation Appreciation Hour. Please remember to like and subscribe, and may your entertainment be always, well, entertaining.